Hello there. I detect some squeaky rear ends from the SNP as the police close in for a fraud investigation into their funding. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. And why not buy a mug with my mug on it? Yes, that's right, Nicola Sturgeon's SNP are right up to their necks in the brown stuff of the non-Gordon variety, and this will be a week that the party will love to forget, because it is becoming increasingly clear to the people of Scotland that the party that would split the UK up in its quest for Scottish independence is deeply untrustworthy and incapable of holding together a cohesive devolved government, and is potentially highly corrupt. According to the Express, Police Scotland had previously been looking into complaints over alleged financial irregularity, but officers have just confirmed they will launch a full investigation into the matter. The allegations concern about £600,000 of donations to the SNP, which had been part of a crowdfunder for money to be spent on a future independence referendum. Last month, SNP Treasurer Colin Beattie said the money raised in the fundraiser had already been spent by the party. How will the SNP fund their Indie Ref 2, if they ever got one? I mean, who would ever hand over any money to them now? And remember that Colin Beattie only took the role of Treasurer over recently from SNP MP Douglas Chapman, who resigned as party Treasurer in May over concerns he had with party accounting transparency. And another SNP MP, Joanna Cherry QC, resigned from the party's National Executive Committee soon after, claiming she was stopped from improving transparency and scrutiny within the party. And earlier in March, 3 members of the SNP Finance and Audit Committee quit after being denied access to the party's accounts. For its part, the SNP has said it will cooperate fully with the investigation. But by that, one wonders whether it will be by their well-tried and tested methods of redaction and amnesia. And it seems that the SNP Chief Executive Officer, Peter Murrell, who is also Nicola Sturgeon's husband, has been absent from view for quite a while now, with some social media wags saying the police should be checking under the patio or motorway flyover pylons for him. And the Herald Scotland is reporting that the police had been working on this since March, but has now escalated its work after consulting with prosecutors. And the police say they are now dealing with 7 complaints over donations made to the SNP and are urging anyone with information regarding this to step forward to help with the investigation, with a spokesperson from Police Scotland saying, Police Scotland has now received 7 complaints in relation to the donations that were made to the Scottish National Party. After assessment and consultation with the Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service, we will now carry out an investigation. Inquiries are continuing, and anyone who has any information which may assist with this investigation is asked to contact the police. And after watching this develop for the last few months, it can't come a moment too soon. And Scottish Deputy Labour leader Jackie Baillie said, "The truth must be known, and Police Scotland must be allowed to carry out a thorough and detailed investigation." Something echoed by the Holyrood Tory Chief Whip Stephen Kerr, who said, "The police must be allowed to explore every aspect of these complaints to ensure they get to the bottom of this increasingly murky situation." Is the tide now beginning to turn against the SNP and its leadership? Now, before I get to the next part of the video, if you've liked it thus far, please subscribe by pressing the big red subscribe button, then press the little bell and choose all to ensure YouTube keeps you up to date with my latest stuff. Now, MPs have been debating the foreign aid budget this afternoon, with the opposition and some Tory backbenchers intent on derailing the government's moves to reduce the spend from 0.7% of GNI to 0.5%. It seems that many of our MPs really do think there is a magic money tree in the Chancellor of the Exchequer's garden. The Chancellor put forward a plan to up the spending once the country could afford it again, but many of our MPs said that wasn't good enough and we should just hand the money over, whatever. And those spendthrift MPs all took aim at the wrong government, as I'll come on to. But thankfully in the end our government won the day by a comfortable enough margin. But it does show that about 40% of our honourable members are more than happy enough to give our dosh away, even though the country would be forced to either tax more, borrow it and pay interest on it, or scrap some other part of the public sector spend. And one argument those MPs made for keeping the foreign aid budget at 0.7% of GNI was that no other country in the G7 had said that they were reducing their foreign aid donations. Well, there's a reason for that. In fact, there's a couple of reasons. As far as I know, we're the only country in the G7 to have a law forcing us to give money away. And if we want to reduce it, we have to go through this public wrangling. And further, we're the only G7 country to have met that commitment constantly since 2013. In fact, here's a graph using data from the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, that shows the last 3 full years of 2018, 2019 and 2020. And you can clearly see the UK at the top at 0.7% of GNI, followed closely by Germany. But France, Japan, Canada, Italy and the USA lag far behind on this measure. The USA only gets away with it because the size of its economy means it gives away far more in absolute terms than anyone else. And the UK is also the third largest contributor by amount behind the USA and Germany. And as I understand it, the only reason that Germany was marginally ahead of us in 2020 was because their international pandemic aid was lumped into the total, whereas I'm not sure ours was. And because our economy was smaller in 2020 than in 2019 due to the pandemic, the UK gave about £1 billion less in real terms in 2020 than in 2019. So when looking at this and realising that the UK has consistently fulfilled its commitments while it can, when others do not, surely affords us some leeway when we're as hard hit as anyone else. And I did not hear one opposition MP berate the governments of the other members of the G7 for not stepping up to the mark. Do they not realise that if all the others said they'd match our reduced 0.5% of GNI, the grand total would go up? Those MPs who pontificated about how evil our government is should be aiming their vitriol at the real nasty culprits out there, and not keep expecting the UK taxpayer to pick up the tab. So what's your opinion on the police investigating the SNP and our MPs expecting the taxpayer to make them look fluffy and benevolent? Please like and comment below.